Good morning. My name is Jair Lynch, and I want to welcome each and every one of you to 218 Vine Street. This is an exciting day for us, another milestone, and we're here to celebrate with our mayor, Mayor Bowser, about her exciting new announcement. So I am standing in the way of you hearing from her, but I wanted to say a few words about the project and why this project was selected. As you know, we create extraordinary places. That is our mission, and our core values are creativity, diversity, teamwork, and excellence. And we shine through each one of those core values here at 218 Vine. We are driven to provide housing for all. Whether it's our existing assets like Tacoma Central up the street or this affordable housing asset here at 218 Vine, we know how hard it is to solve the major problem in front of all of us, which is equity and inclusion and housing security for all. We used our full force of talent and skill sets here. This project has everything in the kitchen sink as it relates to sources, with 4% tax credits, 9% tax credits, dollars from the housing trust, bonds from the Housing Finance Agency, our private capital, our partners Housing Up, as well as Wells Fargo. Each one of these people all pulling in the same direction, primarily because of our singular goal that we follow in the footsteps of Mayor Bowser with her 36,000 unit goal for 2025. This is part of that strategy, and we're happy to be part of it. With that shining vision, her team, John Falchecchio at DemPed, the rest of the DemPed team, and the rest of the sister agencies that supported this, all the way down to DCRA that supported with the permitting and the likes. This takes every single person in the administration as well as the private sector pulling in the same direction. And so we appreciate her steadfast commitment. We appreciate all of their hard work. And as you can see at this topping out, that we're on track for having a ribbon cutting and new seniors that we are very, very cognizant of, that our seniors are aging in place and that we can have them age in the neighborhoods that they grew up in. And so we hope next spring we'll have our first seniors here that we beloved so much, and that they will be here and have their twilight of their years be in a very exciting and energetic place. So we look forward to everyone being here for the ribbon cutting in 6 months. But I'd like to introduce our mayor, my mayor. I've got lots of stories from when I was young. I won't bring any of those out. The most important thing is that we have seen her determination throughout the years, and we really appreciate it, and we hope that she can continue to bring that kind of vision, that commitment to the entire city. Thank you so much, Madam Mayor.
Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Tacoma, D.C., one of D.C.'s great neighborhoods, and give a big hello to all of our Tacoma neighbors. Give them a big round of applause, especially Alice Giancola. It's good to be home and talking about determination. I think I got to cut my teeth on determination as being a commissioner on ANC 4B with Alice and neighbors, making sure the commission delivered for everything that Tacoma wanted. And when I think about development projects in Tacoma, they can be interesting. Because Tacoma neighbors are very, very focused on making sure that we, the government, the development community, delivers exactly what the neighborhood needs and wants, and that the end product reflects the diversity of the community. And so when I drive through Tacoma, I know that over the last 15 years together we have done a lot, and we have ensured that a lot of DC residents have a quality, affordable place to live. And so I'm just really happy to be here. So let me move on to say that not only are we celebrating the topping off of this fantastic affordable housing project, we're also announcing a very considerable request for proposals that we will put out today. Just a few weeks back, more than a few weeks, a few months back, we talked together at another Ward 4 project down on Spring Road. Then I told you that I would be advancing to the council a historic investment in affordable housing. I told you that I promised some years ago that no matter what, we would, as the city, invest $100 million a year in our housing production trust fund. And we were able to do that for 6 straight years with a $600 million total investment. In this year, we were able to quadruple that number and have a $400 million investment, making our total contribution to HPTF in my tenure $1 billion. I want to acknowledge our council member at large for housing, Council Member Anita Bonds. Give her a big round of applause. We expect to see her today as well. And because of her stewardship and leadership at the council, she's been able to support our vision by making sure the entire council supported this vision. And it's not a hard sell because when we look around at the great opportunities in our city, we want more Washingtonians to be able to participate, right? We want everybody to get a fair shot, no matter where they are in the spectrum of economic opportunity or where they are in their lives. And that's why we are always happy to celebrate senior housing in Washington, D.C. I also want to acknowledge a great member of my team, and her last day is today, and that is Director Polly Donaldson. Give Polly a big round of applause. Polly is among quite a few of my cabinet members who have been with me since day one, and is celebrating more than 6.5 years of developing affordable housing for the government. Polly is going to be missed, but her focus and determination and the skill that she brought to the job has been just a credit to all that we have done. So give Polly a big round of applause. And Drew Hubbard is serving as the interim director for DHCD, and we know that DHCD is in good hands. Jair, it is fitting that we're here today on Vine Street to announce our next RFP because we know that affordable housing projects don't happen by accident. In fact, I saw somebody tweet about Spring Road recently, and he said, "Isn't it amazing that this is happening on Spring Road?" I said, no, it's not amazing. It's the result of hard work and determination and leadership and investment. So it isn't amazing that we're standing here today either. It is the result of hard work and visionary leadership. And it happens that we have a homegrown Ward 4 resident who's leading the charge, in Jair Lynch. So give Jair a big round of applause. We don't do it alone. We fund these projects, but we don't build them. That said, the government plays a critical role in shaping the market so that projects aren't all the same, aren't all market rate, and aren't all catered to one type of renter or buyer. And that's why we put these RFPs in search of good partners. Anybody want to be our partner in building affordable housing to help us reach our housing goals? And when we get it right, we deliver on projects like this one that will bring 129 affordable homes for seniors in Ward 4. Many of you already know that DHCD selected this project in the last RFP in 2019. And even though we are promoting the Housing Production Trust Fund, we also want to know that we are promoting that, and this project is the result of $8.5 million in HPTF investment. But it has much more. $4.6 million in National Housing Trust Funds, $1 million in 4% low-income tax credits, $1.1 million in 9% low-income tax credits, local rent supplement vouchers, and permanent supportive housing dollars. All of these pieces of funding help fill the gaps to make this project happen. Now, these funding sources are being made available in the next RFP as well. I committed at the start of my second term to produce 36,000 units of housing by 2025, at least 12,000 of which would be affordable. And while we're making good progress, we're only a third of the way towards our affordable housing goal by 2025, and we're going to change that. We did our part by putting $400 million in the PTF in the budget. The council did its part by passing it, and now it's time for the development community to put forth some big ideas. Anybody have any big ideas? Ooh. Ooh. Did he just mention McMillan? The time has come. But since we're in Rock Creek West, where we still need 1,900 affordable units, who's got a shovel-ready project? So when we put these dollars on the street, and when we've done it for 6 years straight, we know that our development community has built the capacity to partner with us and have ideas ready. So now you can review online at Mayor.dc.gov the RFP. Applications open on October the 15th and will close for the first application window on December 3rd, and then close for the second window on February 15th. So you've got 2 bites at the apple. So, big ideas, projects that are ready, helping us to reach our goal in each of the planning areas. That's our commitment. Let's go. Thank you, everybody. Next, we're going to hear from our team who will make sure that the government is doing its part. First, Deputy Mayor Falchicchio, followed by the short timer of the hour, Polly Donaldson. John.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Mayor asked, so how did we arrive here? And you just heard her describe the project that's happening behind us. And the reason why we do all that we do is to deliver projects just like this one. So, Mayor, you mentioned that development sometimes in Tacoma is interesting. Alice used a different word. I can't use it up here, but she used a different word. But really what this is about, and the 36,000 by 2025 initiative is all about, is a district-wide goal that we all rally around in order to say we've got to do more to help more residents stay in D.C. because we love it so much. So just to let you know, Mayor Bowser made that initiative part of her inaugural address on January 2nd, 2019. Later, the Office of Planning did what we call the Housing Equity Report, which was issued in October of 2019. And what that did was it laid out, according to what Mayor Bowser's vision was, to really find out how we get to 36,000 by 2025, how we achieve the other goal, which is to create 12,000 units of affordable housing by 2025 as well. And what Mayor Bowser also did, and what everybody here should be proud of, is she made us the first jurisdiction in the country to have affordable housing goals by neighborhood. So I'm going to stop, because that's worth applause. So let's hear it. So it takes a lot of us working together to make sure that we hit this goal. So I want to tell you where we are. And so remember, the mayor announced the goal in 2019. We have until the end of 2025, so we're about 42% of the way there. All right, so we're 42% of the way there. And as of the beginning of, or the end of last month, we've delivered 16,550 new units of housing. That means we're 46% of the way on that goal, right? So we're 42% into it, or 46% into that goal, right? So we're ahead of pace. That's a good thing. But as Mayor Bowser mentioned, we're just about a third of where we need to be on affordable housing. So we have created, since 2019, 3,758 units of affordable housing, right? That's good. That's really good. But that's 31% of our overall 12,000 goal. So what is so important about today is the $400 million that the mayor has committed and the council made sure, and the at-large council member for housing, Anita Bonds, made sure that every penny of that $400 million that Mayor Bowser proposed was right there and ready for this day. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that this $400 million is an injection to make sure that we catch up to where we have to be, and we don't just meet that goal, but we exceed it by 2025. Are you with me? Yeah. Great. All right. So with that, I'm happy to say that DemPed, we play a role in this because what we do is we take sites that the district owns and we find ways to get them back to productive use, right? And so there's a site, and this is great, at 1234 Good Hope Road Southeast. Who knows where that is? 1234 Good Hope Southeast? Okay, good. A lot of people know where that is. Good. So that site is going to be a site that we will put out for a solicitation, an RFP, where we'll ask for proposals that include home ownership, space for small business, and retail right in the heart of Ward 8. Anybody have any ideas for that? All right, great. So Mayor Bowser, there are some big ideas here. And what we want to do is make sure that folks look at that RFP. It'll be posted on the DemPed website, and it will deliver affordable housing as well with a home ownership opportunity. So we know that we have more work to do, but the pieces are in place to do it. And we don't do any of this alone. We do it with our partners, cluster agencies, what we like to call the housing agency partners. But we have an advocate on the council that stands out among all council members, and that is the at-large council member for housing, as the mayor says, the chair of the Committee on Housing, Anita Bonds.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. And as soon as the sound belongs back to us, I would really like for you to give the mayor a resounding applause. Okay. Now, I know that's dangerous, being that I'm from the council. But where I come from, and have lived long enough to feel this way, we are one government, District of Columbia, okay? And so we have to give the flowers while they are due. And the flowers are due to the mayor for having this vision and making it a reality. So thank you, Mayor. Thank you very, very much. I also have a passion for housing, particularly affordable housing, as we call it. And we know what that means. It should be affordable for the people who need the housing. And so this is just another one of those projects that we are able to bring from the ground into the vertical reality. And so you're to be applauded, Mr. Developer. I know that this is not the Olympics. However, it really is. And the hurdles are extraordinary, but we're with you, and we want to see more ownership opportunities. We really do need that, because when our people in the district feel that they can own a piece of the pie, things change. Things change for the better. And so, but we'll take rentals, quality rentals, and we'll do everything we can to parlay it into ownership into the future. And we want to make sure, particularly, that our moderate income households have that opportunity. So I hope that you all are totally committed to increasing not only the number of affordable units, but making sure that we continue to grow our housing stock in the District of Columbia. Thank you all for inviting me to be a part today. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's hard for me in some ways to really just proceed through this announcement as if it's just business as usual. Usually my remarks are written out, but I ad-lib a little. And I have to say it's unusual today, not just because it's my last day before retirement, but mostly because no housing director or housing commissioner or chief, and they have lots of different titles around the country, has ever stood at a podium and announced that they're making $400 million in Housing Production Trust Fund local dollars available in a single request for proposals. No one. Some of you know I have the privilege of meeting with my fellow housing directors and commissioners from other high-cost cities or high-amenity cities, Mayor, yes, and a forum. I've learned after a few years, right, that we meet monthly to discuss our local housing issues that are particular to our big cities. And when you announce your retirement, you come to find out that it's a great opportunity to reflect on the work like I have, and you find out also people say some really nice things about you, which is really kind of great. Well, with that group, I know that those nice things also happen to be true, and that just this Monday they shared that when they're making the case for investments in their own communities, they point to D.C. And when they're learning how to set goals and talk about a housing affordability and build coalitions and support for housing equity, they point to D.C. And while I may no longer be the one executing the affordable housing playbook here in D.C., Mayor Bowser will be long charting new pages and, dare I say, chapters of that anthology for the country to follow. Mayor, congratulations on that. This is a really great time to recognize the DHCD team, which I try to do at the top of every project event we work on, and today should be no different. Our Chief of Staff, Sega Picale, our Development Finance Manager, Aaron Wilson, the Project Manager for 218 Vine Street, Anna Scallett, who was actually at another ribbon cutting in Congress Heights right now and couldn't be here, the attorney who worked on 218 Vine, Joan McKenzie, our legal, compliance, communications, all the divisions that make every one of these projects possible, and also the release of an RFP possible. Thank you. And to the whole team at DHCD, when you're deciding to retire, you take into consideration that if the team is ready to move on without you, and I've never been more confident in their ability to do more with more, as I tell them, especially with Drew Hubbard at the helm. Yes. So now I want to share a few of the specifics of the RFP. I'm going to reiterate them for the development community here, that this is the first RFP since 2019. We recognize that there is a high demand and that there will be a lot of competition, but we have a lot of resources available. The deadlines, though, first. As the mayor shared in her remarks, there are two application windows, one ending on December 3rd and the other on February 15th, 2022. It's been a while since we last had an RFP, and we know that affordable housing takes time to build, but 2025 is just around the corner, and before you know it, so we want to get those projects that you've been thinking about, that you've been planning, that have been pent up, that demand, we want you to come in sooner rather than later and put your applications in. And I love that we're at Vine Street today, because it's one thing to tell you what kind of projects we want, and with those deadlines, you can bet shovel ready is one of those priorities. But it's another to show you. Like Vine Street, we want inclusive and equitable housing. It doesn't have to be senior housing. It shouldn't necessarily all be senior housing, but who can we help with your next project proposal? That's how I want you to look at your proposals. Who are we helping here in the district? We want a mix of incomes. We want permanent supportive housing. We want place-based priorities like proximity to transit and other high amenities. And we also want a project in Rock Creek West now. And so let me just say, I'll be watching. When I say I'm retiring, I truly mean it. There's no luring me back, Deputy Mayor. Although, as you've no doubt seen today, he does continue to try. But you can count on me joining at least watching from a distance, any celebration that gets us closer to our goals, especially in Rock Creek West, I've said it before and I'll say it again, serving as the director of DC's Department of Housing and Community Development, being the longest serving director at the invitation, support, guidance, and behest of the best mayor in the country, Muriel Bowser, has been the honor of my lifetime. And so for one last time, I just want to say thank you. I love microphones, as we all know, and I guess I'll miss all this public speaking, but not enough to stay. And with that, I just want to say thank you all very much. Thank you.
Well, thank you, everybody, and thank you, Polly, for those comments. We had a chance to give her crystal bowl when you get one of those when you've been around a long time yesterday. So, with that, any questions? Questions. I'm gonna get press questions and community questions. Questions. Yes, sir.
Mayor, talking about the HBTF, a constant struggle is to hit that 30% AMI, half of it being devoted to that bracket, which I'm not sure the city has ever been able to achieve. How can you do that with this $400 million RFP?
The first part of your question broke up. Was your question, how do we hit the statutory buckets for
the statutory requirement,
HBTF?
yeah.
Well, you start with the RFP, and the RFP is designed to help us do exactly that. I think it is true if you look at the history of the HBTF, I'm not sure that all of the awarded projects have met those criteria, but we have focused in our tenure of doing exactly that, and this RFP will be no different. Any other questions? Do you have any questions? Any other press questions? Okay, community? Yes, ma'am. Yes.
What are y'all proposing to do about the housing situation? I have been on the housing list since 2006, and that is a long time to be on any housing list, let alone the housing list in D.C. So my concern is, I understand that we're here for this purpose, but we have to address this long list of people that are waiting that is causing the homelessness, because we don't have any affordable units. I'm a senior.
Well, this is exactly what we're talking about. So you can't say we don't have any affordable units. I'm just talking to you about 120 affordable units. Right here, listen, right here. So what I don't want is to suggest that there aren't affordable places to live in D.C. or that we haven't produced them since 2006, because we certainly have. Now, if your question is about public housing and how we continue to save public housing units, improve public housing units, that is also what we're very focused on with the support of our council member in the Housing Committee. Any other community questions?
We don't have public housing.
Yes.
Hi, please forgive me. I'm ignorant to it. I just got the email like 2 hours ago. But now that I'm here and I see what it's about, I was just wondering, is any part of this project will be available to assist with people with mental and physical disabilities?
Sure. So what part of what I discussed, and somebody will give me the exact breakdown of the units, but there is included permanent supportive housing here. And that is typically to support people who need wraparound services so that those services can be provided nearby or on site. Do you want to add anything, Jair? So the answer to your question, that's the long answer, is yes. Yes. Any other questions? Yes.
Market, affordable, and subsidy, because some of these new projects that is coming out, it doesn't have subsidy, and then on top of the market, places want $250 to $300 parking. You got to pay gas, electric, water, trash, and sewer. So to me, that's not affordable. And I've been in property management for over 20 years, and now I can't afford nowhere to live in D.C., and it doesn't make any sense for you to say you're affordable and you got to pay all that. Who has affordable has $250 a month for parking? plus gas, electric, water, trash, and sewer.
Well, affordable units don't usually take into account parking spaces. That's not rent.
Well, how about the subsidy and affordable?
Okay, let me have the developer talk about the mix of the units offered.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This project and many of the projects that we work on are dedicated to affordable housing. And when we mean affordable housing, it's people making, a single person making under $55,000 a year. And that is for the entire project. And we have units that are for people making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year. And that is what we're targeting at this project. The overall goal across the city is to create both affordable and moderate income housing. But this one is dedicated to those specific customers and the people who work very hard at those income levels.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay.
Yes, I have a question for the developer.
Yes, ma'am. What's your question?
The question is, I'm getting ready to apply for a business license, and I would like to have to be applied for the women and minority business.
Okay.
My question to the developers: how or where do I go to bid for the cleaning and maintenance of these affordable houses?
Well,
where do I go?
That's a great question. Sure. And can I connect you with them after so he can let you know when those opportunities start to become available?
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, what age group of seniors will this project be servicing, as well as are there any
55 plus?
So it's 55 plus?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
You bet.
I'm Muriel Bowser, Commissioner on Aging for Ward 4. And where do people go to apply for where do people go to apply
for
housing?
So Polly, let me start. So we're not just talking about this property, but we're talking about where people can access all of the affordable information about all of the affordable units that the government supports.
Thank you, Mayor. We actually have one site where all the affordable units that are developed, it's dchousingsearch.org. Thank you. Okay. dchousingsearch.org lists all of the developments, all of the apartments that are available, and has further information on how to apply. So that's dchousingsearch.org. Thanks.
I'm going to go to somebody who hasn't had a chance, ma'am. Yes? Go ahead.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
First, I'd like to applaud you, Mayor, for coming together to do affordable housing. My question and my comment is that first, the comment about affordable housing. Even though you did this beautiful layout of housing in Southwest on the waterfront, it really is not affordable. So it goes back to the point that the lady here makes. There's so many people in our community that have been displaced. If you look at every tent city, if you look on L Street, if you look on M Street, if you look on K Street, if you look on First going up to Union Station, if you look at across the street on New Jersey Avenue, what is happening and what are we doing about people who have completely been displaced? There's so many people who can't afford the $1,200 or the $1,300 or whatever the minimum amount of the Southwest property is. I understand that some people can't afford it, but what about people who are in service jobs? What about people who are still doing housekeeping in hotels? They cannot afford that. So what are we doing about that population? Because that's the population that we're losing.
Well, that's what we're talking about. Perhaps I wasn't clear about how we have been investing for the past 6 years in building more affordable housing for the district, or all of the tools that we put in place for the district, including making sure that projects like this all over the city, in all 8 wards, in Ward 4, Ward 6, Ward 8, in every ward, that people have an opportunity for units that have been bought down in cost by the DC taxpayer. So that's what we're doing. If you're talking about people who are living in encampments, there are a lot of issues, even before we get to housing, that we're working on with our entire population. Perhaps you have seen an effort that we're trying. If you know me, you know that I will try any means to get people in quality housing. And working to help people in encampments get in safe housing is definitely a focus of ours. And that involves transitional housing, it involves shelter, but at the end of it all, when people have been supported through the emergency that they are experiencing, there have to be affordable units. So when we talk about 36,000 units by 2025, that helps us address all of the issues that have been raised by your questions. Having more units that are affordable in more places in the district. You asked me about the wharf, and I'm going to kind of see if I can get behind your question a little bit there. Because what we've heard in some neighborhoods is that, Bowser, we're all for affordable housing, but why do you build it only in one neighborhood? And in some ways, the processes for many years has supported only affordable housing being built in Ward 8. And we say, yes, of course we want affordable housing in Ward 8, but we want affordable housing in every ward. And even at the wharf, you may not know this, but 30% of the units, maybe 20%, somebody will correct me on the exact number, are below market rate units at the wharf. And so our policies, and sometimes it's more expensive for the government to make sure we have affordability at the wharf, but it's also important for us to say if the government is involved, no matter where it is, even if it's in a high cost area, we have to be engaged and invested. Yes.
I'm a realtor, and I deal with
I can't hear.
I'll repeat it. Go ahead, ma'am.
quite a few clients that are actually voucher holders. The market is kind of booting them out because everyone is hiking up their rental prices. How has that been addressed, or how is that going to be fixed?
The question was about vouchers and if people can afford housing with their voucher. And periodically, there is a review of the market to see if the vouchers are keeping up. And so I'll check in to see where we are. Got it. Yes.
Good morning, Madam.
Good morning.
I wanted to know if a part of the 400 million, the reason we're here, is any of those funds going to be allocated to already landlords that have previously rented to the district?
No, this is unless it's a preservation. The Housing Production Trust Fund can be used for new units or preserving existing affordable units.
So if I wanted to, and I am an investor, but if I wanted to purchase a new lot and build on that lot to allow those units to be affordable,
yes.
If I apply for and go through the application process, will I be allocated some of those funds to help build up those units?
You could compete. You could compete. And that's why we're here.
Establishment. Thank you. Congratulations on the affordable production, Madam Mayor, Polly, Councilwoman. I think that we know most of our renters here in the District of Columbia may not become owners. How can we negotiate with developers for cooperative agreements so that we can have more stake and more residents have stake in ownership opportunities? And secondly, regarding the taxes, when someone moves on your block at the end of the street, and if you're a fully retired individual with this new production trust fund, how are we mitigating taxes to ensure that residents are not being taxed out? And we're seeing this significantly with our senior population. People are going back to work because new development is coming in and it's really taxing them out. So could you help us with that, Madam Mayor?
Well, first of all, we want to make sure that all of our seniors are participating in one of the best programs anywhere in the world, and that is seniors are eligible at certain incomes to pay half of their property tax bill. It's called the Senior Housing Tax Credit. And so if you're not signed up, you should be signed up at the Office of Tax and Revenue. Further, any change, any resident is only subject to up to a 10% increase in their tax bill in any given year. And that's a measure that's been put in place and been in place for many years in the district to try to ensure that there are no spikes in property tax bills. And that has worked pretty well. Yes, ma'am.
First, good morning. And I want to know, like the population that you said you're serving, there's a missing population. And that is...
I'll repeat her question. Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay, so that's a missing one because for me, in my situation, I went out on disability. So I think the income guidelines should be changed somewhat because when you are paying 50%, that still leaves you with hardly nothing left.
Yes, ma'am.
So I think like maybe if someone got $50,000, it should be 30% or something like that.
Right.
For somebody to be in the 50%.
And I don't disagree with you. And frequently that's referred to as the missing middle. And the changing the guidelines that you're talking about will require a change in the law, council member. But it also speaks to the very first question that I took. All right. The government is frequently criticized for not producing units for the lowest income people. All right. And that's an issue. But then the government is criticized, and I think anybody who cares about a vibrant community should pay attention to this, for not producing housing for the middle. And I'll give you an example of why that's important. I think the young lady asked me about government workers. Well, if none of the people who work for the government can afford to live here, I have something else to say about that. But people think they can't afford to live here, and they live out in the suburbs, and they commute far distances. It impacts our ability to provide services. I want all of our teachers to live in the District of Columbia, all right? Because when I do that, I don't have to worry about the decisions they make for Prince George's County schools. I'm going to make the best decisions for D.C. public schools. I want all of our firefighters to live in Washington, D.C. I just know that will be better for us to respond to emergencies and provide the type of training we want to provide. So there is a need, and I'm not sure if we've got it through the council this time. We did. I advanced a couple of years ago a new fund that is for, what do we call it, John?
Housing affordability.
Okay, housing affordability in high opportunity neighborhoods that is going to allow for the government, in addition to making the investments we make in the Housing Production Trust Fund, to also begin to make investments for that missing middle. People who have higher incomes, yes, but are still having difficulty affording housing. Now, let me say something else about this, and then I'm going to be quiet. I've heard a number of times that I can't afford to live in D.C. I hear it sometimes from our employees. And I go all across D.C., so I know it's not true. That people can't afford a lot of neighborhoods in Washington, D.C. that they haven't even considered. And we take that as a challenge. People haven't considered these neighborhoods because they're not sure about grocery or parks or safety. So they think that those are neighborhoods, even though that they can afford it, are not places that they want to live. So over the course of, my entire time in public service, we've worked on making neighborhoods places where people want to live. And the more neighborhoods we have like that, the more affordable D.C. is. You follow me? I lived in what I call one of the best neighborhoods anywhere in Washington, D.C. in Riggs Park. And when I moved there, you know this, I moved there in 2000, there was no place to go shopping. There was a market, but it sold more lottery tickets and liquor than it did food. If you walked from Fort Totten to my house, you took your life into your hands. The community had been promised a new recreation center and ball field for 10 or 15 years that hadn't been delivered. When we changed all of those things, all the people who had lived there for decades, and me who had just moved in and became an ANC commissioner. We now transform that neighborhood that's affordable. And it's been affordable for years. It's getting less affordable every day, but it was then for sure. We now made a neighborhood, a wonderful neighborhood, a place that more people would want to live and was affordable. You follow me? So the things that we are doing each and every day make DC more affordable. Transforming neighborhoods, investing in housing, transportation, safety, schools, and recreation. That's how we make every part of DC and all 8 wards more affordable. If you haven't been to Congress Heights lately, you should go. It sits on the Green Line. Just 6 years ago, we really didn't have a lot going on. The former mayor started, and that was good, but we needed jobs. We needed a hospital. We need housing. We need a library. We need parks. And we, just to boot, we threw in the home field of the world champion Washington Mystics. And now we have a place that more people, that is affordable, and more people will choose to live. So I don't ever want to just talk about this unit or that people can't afford to live in D.C., because there are lots of places in D.C. where people can live. And it's our job to make sure there are places that people want to live. Thank you, everybody.
Roy, down, please. Down, please. Sit down, please. I'm not blocking the camera. Excuse me, man. Excuse me.
Ma'am? No. So this is the appropriate time for this.
All right, are we ready?
It's gonna be loud. It's gonna be loud.